Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to First Cut Live. We are live on this very special Monday night, all about CinemaCon. We're going to talk about all the movie announcements, all the movie news that you may have heard from last week, because we have the direct source, a person that was actually there on the floor, watching all the announcements, watching all the news come up. Mr. RB3 is in the house. RB3, how you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Recovering from the long trip, circling back from LA to Vegas, back to LA. It was a long journey. Shout out to my boy Dorian Parks, who helped make it all happen. But yeah, it was a long time. It was a good time, but a long time for sure.
Let's get right down to the origin of this, man. So basically, Dorian hit you up for some Geeks of Color coverage to head to Vegas with you. You've done this before, right? You've done CinemaCon before?
Nah, it was my first ever CinemaCon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first ever CinemaCon, yeah.
How was the experience itself? Like, besides all the movie stuff, how was just hanging out, going to hotel, going to this stuff?
Well, it was cool. I mean, I'm a Vegas. I be going to Vegas all the time. People who know that about me. I be like, Vegas is my thing. So we were there. We flew in to LAX. It was kind of wild because right when we got out of the car to LAX, the flight got canceled. And we were on a tight schedule because the WB panel, to our understanding, started at 8 a.m. And our flight was originally supposed to touch down at 7:20. But like, long story short, they ended up canceling our flight. And then delaying our flight. I'm sorry. We ended up getting into Vegas around like 8:10, 8:20. And then the first half of the Warner Brothers panel was really just breaking down like the state of cinema, which was all interesting stuff. And I wish I would have been there for seeing that, because I think that is like a fascinating conversation. But they handed out this amazing magazine from Box Office Pro that kind of had all these numbers. And we gotta save all that talk for a different conversation, because the way, I personally feel like the reason why they invited so much press and so much people to CinemaCon this year was because they really wanted to hammer in this narrative of theatrical is back. Theatrical is back and is priority. Like, every single studio executive was saying, like, yeah, we tried streaming. Streaming didn't really work. Now we're going really hard on theatrical. So I enjoy seeing that from all of the studio executives. And then we look at the numbers all back that up from almost every matrix.
I think what studio executives are starting to realize too is not just that theaters are back, it's that theaters are back in a way that helps your streaming numbers, right? Yeah. Because I feel like I saw that too. I saw that in a couple articles talking about how releasing a movie in theaters, it being a cool, popular movie, and then you release it on streaming, helps those streaming numbers a lot. And that can help your own app, your own software, whatever it is. So yeah, that's a whole new conversation. Obviously, we love talking about that here. But let's kind of break down what you saw at CinemaCon. So I have a list here, RB3. You tell me, you can change it up, you can switch up, whatever you want. But I have a list here of the studios that spoke. I have Sony, Warner Brothers, Disney, Universal, Paramount, and Lionsgate with just Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But Sony, first thing I have here is Kraven the Hunter.
Right. Well, so let me just say, okay, yeah. So thank you for mentioning Sony. So for Sony, we actually didn't get there for Sony. Sony was Monday night, okay. So that was the only thing that we that was the only studio that we missed.
Skip it.
So yeah. No, I mean, not to skip it, because they did show some, I guess, Into the Spider-Verse 2
Across the Spider-Verse, yeah.
That was like really good. So it was good stuff, but that was the only one that we didn't see. So.
All right, let's just get to the big fish, man, big homie, Mr. Warner Brothers himself.
Yeah. Before
we get to the movie you saw there, which I think is kind of crazy, they just show a whole ass film at CinemaCon, but I guess that's what they do, right? Aquaman 2, Dune 2, and The Color Purple, is that Warner Brothers? That's Warner Brothers, right? Yeah,
Color Purple is Warner Brothers.
Talk to me about those three, what you saw from each, and what excitement level your ranking is for each.
So out of those three, I would say The Color Purple is probably the one I'm most excited for. They're the one that they opened out the gate with. So it was David Zucker or David Zuckerlin. Actually, my first time ever seeing this man's face or like actually hearing his voice. Weirdly enough, I never actually like seen him. I've always just read his name in the news. But yeah, he was like, me and Oprah go way back. We started OWN Network together, and it was when I took over Warner Brothers Discovery. It was my dream to get back with Oprah. So he literally opens the show. Oprah comes out. Funny enough, because we watched all panels of like a bunch of celebrities coming out doing Q&As and stuff. Only Oprah has the power to get all the talent chairs so they could sit down and like have sit down interviews, because literally every other panel was just people standing up. But I guess Oprah was specifically like, no, we're getting chairs. Like everybody gets chairs. And it was pretty much like an episode of the Oprah show. She was talking to Taraji P. Henson, Daniel Brooks, who you might have seen in Peacemaker, and a couple other great parts recently. Fantasia is making her feature film debut. Obviously from American Idol fame, music fame, but she actually won a lot of awards for her part in The Color Purple on Broadway. So she's reprising that same role. So is Danielle Brooks. And then, they also showed the trailer for it, which is just dope, man. It just looks like they are making it a more, I don't want to say action, but a more exciting interpretation of The Color Purple. Almost like, I don't know if you've seen Harriet, the new Harriet Tubman movie that they did with Cynthia Erivo. But it was kind of like, it was like a slave movie, but they kind of almost make it like a quasi-action revenge movie too. So this is what this kind of looks like. So definitely The Color Purple got me most excited. And they had the director out there. First time, I guess he's doing a film too. He's like more of a music person, but the footage looked really good. So I'll rank that number one. Dune 2 is definitely up there as well. I mean, the fact that they got Denis Villeneuve to come out and Zendaya. Shout out to Zendaya. She actually won the CinemaCon award for Screen Actress of the Year. And we look at the numbers. Spider-Man No Way Home made a tremendous amount of money. Dune made a tremendous amount of money in the pandemic, during the heat of the pandemic. And she's just a big star. So it was good seeing her and seeing that footage. I mean, it looked really, really dope, man. It was like we saw Timothée Chalamet's character riding one of those giant worms. That was like kind of the main crux of it, like him trying to like learn how to do it. We see a little bit of Austin Butler's character, like who's like this bald, pasty, like kind of psychotic like dude who's like a master at fencing. It's just really dope. It's just like everything. It just looks like the same kind of sauce and same kind of action we saw in the first Dune, but like 10 times more. And then Denny actually said during the panel, like, the first movie is like pure setup, and the second movie is like pure action. So, the first movie had a good amount of action in it, but this one is looking like it's about to be like some Lord of the Rings type stuff. So that was hyped. And it was the third one you said from Warner Brothers?
Aquaman
2, that was good. It was good seeing that footage. I mean, it's funny because there were so many trailers from, particularly like from 2018 movies, like from the Meg. They did a Meg 2 trailer that actually like had me lit up. The Nun 2 trailer, listen, I didn't even like the first Nun, but the way they did this trailer, the trailer for the Nun 2 actually had me. I'm like, they might actually be selling me on this Nun 2 joint, because they filmed it all at this church in Italy. But Aquaman 2 was dope too. I mean, Aquaman 2 is just like what you would expect, like out of Aquaman. This time, Black Manta is coming back as like the main villain, and he's just looking like super, super OD powerful. And then it kind of looks like Patrick Wilson and Aquaman are kind of like teaming up a little bit. So it like kind of it looks good. Also, one thing that was notable though, not a lot of Amber Heard in that trailer at all. Like she was maybe in the trailer for like one shot. I'm like, oh man, did they like edit her down because of the whole like Johnny Depp trial and all that? But otherwise it was a good trailer. But man, I gotta say, like between Black Manta and this. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy has the high, I forget his name already, even though I just saw the movie. He's the main bad, the black dude is the main bad guy in that. Ant-Man and Wasp. I know we can't talk about him, but that had the awesome black guy supervillain. I'm like, we are really having a year of black supervillains, and it's like kind of hard. Like I'm really loving it. Like every one of these. So Aquaman 2 establishing that was dope.
Yeah, man, I swear, Aquaman, that first one, I was Team Black Manta, that whole ass movie. I don't know about you, but I was like, damn, bro, all you gotta do is like lift the log up or whatever the metal thing is to help save his dad. And can avoid this part 2, bro. You can just avoid this whole ass part 2 of Black Manta hunting you down because of that. But yeah, man, it all sounds super exciting. Obviously, the one that's at top of my list is Dune 2. Dune was my number 1 movie of that year. We saw it together, obviously RB3, but I'm so freaking hyped for it. I'm like rewatching the first one. I was like one of the biggest defenders of that movie that a lot of people were like kind of confused by, but I thought it was awesome. But we're here about DC. Oh, go ahead.
One more thing about Warner Brothers. Well, there's a couple other standouts, but also Barbie though. Barbie. This, you could tell this is like their blockbuster of the year, because literally even after Dave Zucker did his thing, or it might have been before, they literally had more executives come out in like completely pink suits. They had Ryan Gosling, Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, America Ferrera all come out to like speak on it. And honestly, I'll be real with y'all, the footage that they showed for that one too, low-key had me like, so, because I was like a little bit, I saw the first Barbie trailer, I was like, this is cool, this is all right, but I don't really see it. But when that second trailer hit, it actually like sold me on a more like existential like kind of story that this movie's kind of going down. So, and it's so funny because Greta Gerwig was saying that she and her husband Noah Baumbach, who we're big fans of both on this channel, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and then she was saying that they were writing the script together, and as they're coming to the end, like Noah was like, oh man, I don't know, I kind of feel like I might want to direct this, and then Greta was like, nah, no way, and then like went to Margot Robbie, like, pretty much behind his back, and was like, yo, you got me for director, right? And that's how that ended up going down. So yeah, that one is gonna be hyped. I'm super hyped for that one. So
you don't have to tell me twice, bro. I saw that trailer and I was sold, crazy ass sold, in a way that I'm just like, I hope someone just behind the scenes literally just goes up to Christopher Nolan and it's like, yo, man, we love Oppenheimer. We can't wait for Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's the shit. Do you really want to compete against Barbie? Come on, bro. Move. Tell Christopher Nolan to move.
It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be crazy, bro. Yeah, I can't wait. But obviously, man, let's get to the DC stuff, bro. Obviously, Aquaman 2 is a lot of stuff in there, and there's some stuff that people are excited about. But the one that everyone was talking about is The Flash. Mm-hmm. You finally got to see the Flash film that a lot of people have been talking about for various reasons. But as a movie itself, your quick, like, social media reaction thoughts.
Yeah. I'm gonna just to like super avoid getting in trouble with the studio, I'm gonna just read like exactly what I wrote on Twitter, and then also just like some of what I said on TikTok. And by the way, follow us, First Cut TMO TikTok, and on Instagram as well. We're putting up a lot of live reactions there. Excuse me. On Twitter, I said, be careful because the Flash will pull a quick sleight of hand over your very eyes. Andy Muschietti's film magically blends a moving solo Barry Allen story with an exciting nostalgia flick that is legitimately funny. The phenomenal superhero action as a nice cherry on top. And then I also added, The Flash tells a satisfying Barry Allen story alongside a really good Bruce Wayne story. Both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck were a top form. So, those are my social media thoughts on it. I mean, honestly, yeah, a lot of people were kind of feeling it. Like when I was walking out, like a lot of positive reactions. A lot of people were buzzing about it. I'll also go to. I had Dorian's tweet from Geeks of Color pulled up, and I literally just lost it just that quick too. That's my fault. I'm gonna pull that back up. But yeah, it was a lot of positive reaction. I will say, seeing some folks go out there and you can tweet your reactions, have fun with your reactions, let people know how much you like The Flash. If you're doing your review, I probably revise not mentioning, a certain actor too much, because you're gonna get lit up on Twitter, and we saw that. We saw that with our buddy Frosty. Shout out Frosty. He put out a pretty not too bright tweet about the movie, and then obviously Twitter ate him up about it. So
I was trying to help you out and find that tweet, man. Let's see if I can find it faster than you can. I probably can't, but we'll see if we can pull this out. Yeah, let's get it right here. Okay.
Well, I'll read Ferdosa tweeted a really good tweet. Ferdosa, who was also there at CinemaCon. Sasha Calle's Kara / Supergirl has a minimal presence in the Flash from what we get, it is clear that a spinoff series. So yeah, I concur with that. Kara / Supergirl was really, really dope in that.
I can't find his, but yeah, man, I feel like, yeah, it's a difficult conversation to talk about it. I actually made a video, RB3, that I don't think anyone, I didn't release because I was like, this might be too spicy. But for me, I saw on I don't know if this is what you saw on your Twitter feed. Maybe you did. I know you got a little bit of comments about this, but I feel like there's like this ethical issue now about being excited about this movie and about planning to see this movie in general, where people are like, if you're going to watch this movie, you should be ashamed and you should feel some type of way because you're supporting and condoning this behavior of Ezra Miller. I kind of want to get into this, RB3. I mean, this is what live is for, right? To get into the spicy stuff that we usually want to put into our podcast.
Right.
But for me, it's like, I kind of think that's like weak sauce for people to say that, mainly because there's so much crap on TV right now. There's so much amazing shows and amazing content everywhere, TV, movies, that a lot of people watch and that a lot of people don't really realize that there's a lot of problematic people in it. I mean, Beef is one that I can name off the top of my head, but if you watch Beef, I mean,
it's a great show. Listen, I ain't gonna hold you. I watched the whole thing. It's a great show.
And I'm saying, are you supporting that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like that's kind of a weak argument. I think it's weak. I don't know.
I think it's weak with Beef because with Beef is just a supporting actor in a show that has a lot of people, a lot of talent, a lot of a lot in it. You know?
Can you rewatch Creed 3? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
right. Again, it's it's funny. It's like these are the bad guy characters too, right? So it's like it kind of adds to the bad guy mystique a little bit. But it's like with the Flash though, it's like it's a little bit. I can see why it's a little bit more of a stickier situation because
but are you able to compartmentalize two things? And I think I'm able to do this. I'm surprised most people can't. Compartmentalize. I do not support this person. I do not support their behavior. I do not think they should be in this movie. I do think they should have cut him out, but I want to see the director. I want to see Sasha Calle. I want to see this film based on what it is, not based on who is in front of it. And I said in my video that I didn't release that if it was like, I don't know, like a Nazi or some sort of like racist dude, then I probably wouldn't. I'd probably go out of my way to not watch it. But telling other people that they shouldn't watch it or that they should be ashamed of watching it, to me is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weak. I think it's kind of weak. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, it is tough. It's a tough conversation because like it's the separating the art from the artist thing.
Yes.
And I think, to your point, I think I would take it more seriously if it was like the writer and director was a piece of dong, or if it's like, J.K. Rowling who's making like billions off of something.
Yes.
Like I think when it's like more powerful, more, I guess, more of the creative control over the thing, then it's like, I don't really want to see that because we've seen it with Louis C.K., right? We've seen it where, we do have somebody who's a writer, director, and, says some nasty, perverted stuff. And then you watch their films and movies and all that perverted stuff is all up and down and through their material. So you're like, all right, well, I don't feel good watching this at all because you are real like this. So meanwhile with Ezra, it's like, he's playing a superhero, a comic book character. The comic book character's been around for almost 100 years, Barry Allen. So it's like, it's a different thing. You're not paying to see the movie because you're paying to see Ezra Miller. A lot of people are paying to see The Flash because they want to see Barry Allen. They want to see Michael Keaton return as Batman. They want to see Ben Affleck's one last ride as Batman. And honestly, that's why I personally, look, I wasn't the biggest fan of Ezra, and I probably would have been more critical of it. But after watching it, I realized there's a lot more in this movie than Ezra Miller. So I just gotta, again, it's like the separation. It's the separation.
Yeah.
But it's a good, this is a fan service film through and through. I'm not like trying to review it, but like, like fans, if you're thinking you don't want to miss this because it's like some fan, like the fans need to watch this. There's some good fan stuff in here.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's literally me. Like I have to see this movie. And that's why it's just kind of a weird time to be excited about it, because if you're excited about it, it sounds like you're condoning some stuff. But yeah, we have some people in the chat now, RB3. I don't know if you have them pulled up.
Oh, I don't. But I will say I pulled up Frosty's tweet. I love Frosty. I love him. But
maybe let's let that go.
No. I'm just putting this out because I love Frosty. He's my guy. But this is a pure example of like what not to do in a tweet. He said the Flash is fantastic. I know Ezra Miller made a lot of mistakes, but they are so good in the movie. Okay, stop right there. Don't say that. That's red flag number one. You ain't got to even acknowledge that. Love Michael Keaton, the action, humor, and love Keaton, the action, humor, and emotion. Andy Muschietti crafted some special. Thumbs up. WB didn't show any after credit scenes. So yeah, this is everything is good in that tweet. And people, I'm just saying this for critics who are trying to review this movie, just leave the name out of it. Just leave, Ezra Miller out of it and just review the movie. You don't have to review the movie without, by going in on the main star. You don't have to.
Yeah, we have Andrew Salazar in the chat.
Andrew, what's good?
That Vo as well is in here.
Yo!
They said Frosty to the gulag.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, he's got to fight his way out now.
All right.
After that one, he's fighting for his life on Twitter right now.
Yo, me and Andrew, we're hanging out a lot during the CinemaCon. We're chilling a lot, hanging out with Dorian and them. Yeah, it was a good time, man. It was a really good time, especially with those peeps because they're great. And Andrew put up a great comment here. The Flash and No Way Home are one and the same in terms of fan service, in my opinion. That is a great way of looking at it. They are very fan service heavy. They are very fan service heavy. Yeah, even I know I can't review it, but Dorian made a very good comparison to also Multiverse of Madness. I think it also not necessarily on the fan service level. I don't know. I don't want to go into it, but that's also a good comparison too. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I was going to say Andrew's tweet. I saw his tweet about Gran Turismo, and it got me hyped for Gran Turismo. And I was like, yo, Andrew's getting me hyped for Gran Turismo right now. I used to play that game when I was a kid, and I saw that they were making a movie about it, and I was like, what the hell is this? But his tweet got me hype about it. He said it looked pretty hype.
And they had a whole installment where they had Gran Turismo stations built
the game?
up. Yeah, the game. So it was you could actually play it like an arcade. It was dope.
That's awesome, man. It's such a weird video game to movie kind of thing, but it kind of makes sense, I guess, in a way. But let's move on from that to talk about the other studios that were there. Let's get to Disney, man. So Disney had a couple films. Disney had The Creator, Elemental, and Wish. That is the only ones I have written down. I'm sure they had a lot more.
They had another one from Taika Waititi that was starring Michael Fassbender.
That's the soccer game. The soccer.
Yes, it's a soccer film. That one also.
America Samoa.
Yeah.
The Simone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one looked really, really good too. I think it's called Next Goal. Next Goal, I think is what it's called. But that one was really good too. But out of those three that you ranked, I would probably go number one was The Creator for me. That just looked
What is that?
So again, I really don't have a lot of details about what it is, and there's not a lot of details online about it. But it's a new film from Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One. Obviously, if you Godzilla, and he did a great short film back in the day. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's called Monsters.
Yeah, Monsters.
It's great. Amazing short film. He's directing this one, starring John David Washington. And from what I don't really know what the whole story is, but from I read online, it's something about AI, something about recreation. It's basically set in a dystopian future, and again, the trailer really didn't show that much either. I can't really even describe what it was about based on the trailer. It was less words but more visuals. But the visuals that we did see were mind blowing to me, man. This was some pure sci-fi, just goodness. It looks the most comparable example I can think of is Elysium. With Matt Damon, but not even that exact aesthetic, but in terms of that tactile, realistic, earthbound, futuristic technology, You know, again, I can't really dig in on what it's about. And it kind of looks like a little bit of like a lone wolf story, like Jonathan Majors is like somebody who's like
John David Washington.
John David, my bad. Oh, geez, not even close. John David Washington, my bad. John David Washington is looking like he's like raising, he's like taking care of some kid, almost like Mandalorian, Baby Yoda style. So I don't know. It's fascinating. I'm super hyped on it though. I'm super hyped on it.
I was gonna, when I saw your tweet about it, I was gonna put a picture of Jesus where he's raising his fingers, and I was like, the creator this summer. That's the first thing I thought of, man. I can't even deny it. But the animated films, Elemental. What'd you think of Elemental?
Elemental was great, man. Elemental was great. Elemental was one of my favorite. It was a good preview. I mean, I say it was one of my favorites. It was a really good preview. It definitely is showing that this film is a lot more in the vein of like Zootopia than I would expect in terms of it being about like a larger society. And y'all know my feelings on Zootopia. So it's like they're going for some real good. So they're actually going for some really good social commentary in terms of like immigration and like the immigrant story. Basically, it just shows like the fire. It's like the first 20 minutes. It shows the fire people, how they get to this city of like all these different elements, but they're standing out. So they kind of built their own community up.
You know what the fire people, you know what that means, bro. You know what that means.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Well, you know, it
literally means Mexicans, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what's interesting. That's the conversation. And
Fire
I'm sure
people,
Andrew,
that's Mexicans, bro.
well,
come on.
that's what we have to. That's the conversation I think everybody has to have like when this movie comes out, because it wasn't really represented. Because some people could say Mexican people. I know some people after our screening or after our showing was talking about it being more like Asian, centric. And I don't. You can
Who's
get
fire? Who's fire? Come on.
Well, I mean, but
Asians.
But I mean, it's directed by an Asian person, so that's why it kind of makes it. But I don't know. Again, we have to see it. It's a really good. It was a good preview. I'm going to hold my hesitancy on being like overly over the top about how it handles racial issues and all that until I see the full film. The first 20 minutes did look good and looked great. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. The Dolby 3D. They gave us the Dolby 3D, the fat glasses, that looked great, man. Seeing it in that format was like incredible. So
what about Wish?
Wish was good. That was good too. The animation was beautiful. And hearing what's her name again?
Ariana DeBose.
Ariana DeBose. I kept wanting to call her Ariana Grande. Ariana DeBose. Her voice was really amazing as well. I will say it did just, again, maybe I'm not like the biggest like Disney princess guy or whatever. It did just kind of feel like another Disney princess song. Like, I wish I could be bigger. But and it was like pretty like it's like standard Disney medieval set, like woman looking to escape her thing. So it looked pretty pretty straightforward. But the animation did look beautiful. It looked like a blend of like 2D and 3D mixed together. So that looked nice.
Yeah, I want to get to the other ones that we have pulled up here. Go ahead.
There was one other thing with Disney. They also showed us the full film of The Boogeyman, which is a Stephen King adaptation, which is coming from 20th Century Fox. It's not Disney direct. But what's fascinating about this movie was that it was originally supposed to be on Hulu, but then they actually switched it to a theatrical release. And the movie, The Boogeyman itself, it was fine. It was a good film. It was a decent horror film, pretty straightforward horror film. But I think it more than anything, you could see why it benefits from a theatrical release, because it's a film about being in the dark, being scared of the dark. So watching it in a fully dark, blackout environment with loudspeakers is like definitely the way to go, as opposed to seeing it directly on streaming. So The Boogeyman, I definitely recommend. I believe it comes out in June. But when it comes out, I definitely recommend people seeing it, especially in theaters.
Yeah, the only other one, that's all I had for Disney. The one I had for Universal is what I was going to say. The only one I had for Universal is Oppenheimer, but that's it. Did you see anything for Oppenheimer?
We did see extended trailer from Oppenheimer. I don't think it's even like a trailer. I think it's I think Nolan literally just cut this piece for CinemaCon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because he was like, me and the editor, put together a little something that's like the sight and sound of the film. And it was like a 5-minute piece. And to me, I mean, me being honest about, or for one, seeing Nolan in person was like fanboy moment. You know what I mean? Like, dope, even though we were way in the balcony and he was obviously on stage. So it was pretty far away, but it was just dope seeing the master out there. He's always the one going hard for theatrical distribution and all that too. So him being there to represent that was also dope. But in terms of the actual trailers, the footage looked incredible. Don't get me wrong. We get a full understanding of what the story is, and like kind of because for me, I'm like, what is this story about the guy who created the atomic bomb? Like, how are they gonna make that interesting? But through this footage, you see, it's a lot more than that. There's like a whole little town involved, and like all these other community of scientists, and it kind of goes into that. For me personally, this is my personal opinion about the footage. It did show a little too much in terms of like, by the end of it, I'm like, oh, well, okay, I kind of do know what the film is about now, like fully. Yeah. So, whereas I probably did want to go on with a little more mystery. But that being said, though, it was still amazing. I could definitely see this like being an Oscar contender for sure, especially with like, Matt Damon has a pretty big part in it. It looks like. Just every character, like all of it looks very human centric. It doesn't, whereas Nolan, we've become so used to Inception and Tenet, these big massive films that are heady and science fiction based. But this is much more in the realm of like Dunkirk or Memento, where it's more like human centric. So I'm very much excited about that. But let's not sleep on Universal though, because that was low key the best panel of like the whole thing. Because they showed Oppenheimer. I didn't put out, and I actually kind of slept on putting out a video for Universal, so I kind of feel bad about that. But it was, the biggest thing was the Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling. It's not coming out till next year, but it's directed by David Lynch, who obviously he's done like I think he ghost directed the first John Wick, directed Bullet Train, obviously a lot, Atomic Blonde. And this film, that for one, they started out with a whole presentation, like with a whole choreographed piece from the stunt company 87 Productions.
11.
Yeah.
8711, yeah.
8711 Productions, yeah. And they did a massive stunts display where it was like half dancing but half like stunts of them like fighting each other, falling off of stuff. It was like a crazy thing. And then it comes out, and then David Lynch comes out, and then Ryan Gosling comes out describing the film. It's an adaptation of this TV show that came out in the 80s. It's basically about Hollywood, and the film is about a Hollywood stunt guy played by Ryan Gosling, who ends up getting hired for his ex is a movie director, and she is directing this action movie, and he gets hired to be stunt guy on it. But the main star of the movie ends up going missing, so then Ryan Gosling kind of has to step up to be the big part or something like that. So it's an interesting premise. This one isn't coming out way until 2024, so it was a lot. It's pretty far out. But that trailer looked dope, and just the whole stunts presentation, like how it's going to be a heavy stunt film, heavy stunt movie, and they just showed that to us like in person. So that was dope. So I'll say the Fall Guy was probably even more than Oppenheimer. That got me excited. They showed exclusive footage from Wicked, which they weren't even done filming yet. It was literally like they're halfway through filming, and although the footage had basically green screen on it, but even just what we saw of that looked amazing. Cynthia Erivo playing the Wicked Witch in that, and then Ariana Grande playing the Good Witch, obviously based on the Broadway show as well. So that trailer looked super amazing too. John M. Chu presenting that. Let me look up what else was in Universal, because low-key Universal like had the slaps. So let me not like sleep on Universal real quick. Let me just take a quick Google search.
Also, a comment from Philosopher King says Elemental's premise being an allegory for immigration. Immigrant struggles makes me want to watch the film a lot more. It makes it more interesting to me. So there's that comment there as well. Yeah, that's the only one I had for Universal. It's interesting that you're saying they had a lot more. I think it's funny that 8711 came out. I've seen those guys do that a lot when it comes to their kind of stunt choreography and stuff. But Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Yeah, for some reason I can't find it anymore on Universal, but I got to come back to that. Let me not sleep on Universal because they got some joints coming out.
The one I have next that has probably my most anticipated out of any of these, and a bunch of other stuff that I don't really care about, is Paramount.
Right.
Paramount has
Avatar.
Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Right.
Day One, A Quiet Place, or A Quiet Place Day One. Killers of the Flower Moon. I'll give you that one. I'm excited about that one. And then Avatar, Adult, Gang. We're back. We're here. You know what it is. This is what I do, bro. I made those ranking videos that everyone hates me for. I'm so excited about this movie and seeing Adult, Avatar, Gang, Aang, Zuko, Katara, and Toph. I can't wait on every three. And I know you just saw an image, but what I want from you is any other little detail that I can try and dig as much as I can out of it. Anything else they say, or that's it?
Okay, they did say more, and I definitely should have like double checked it before. They didn't say much. They just said it's coming out 2025. It's the first movie out of the gate for the new Avatar animated universe, which they're all going to be theatrical releases. And then they said, I forget the exact person's name who's directing this, but this person got their start, literally their career start, working on the very first original Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it's like graduating up until, like graduating into the part of being, and directing this film. So yeah, that was all they really gave us. It was really short. They said 2025, and that was the first. They said they didn't even start like really animating it yet, so that's why they didn't really like show us any footage. They just had that poster. But it did look, that was exciting, and definitely when they showed the image, you could hear a few audible like in the audiences for sure. So it was interesting.
I heard it's not going to be the same voice cast. That it's going to be an all new voice cast. Really? Is that right?
That they didn't tell us. That they didn't. Okay. Yeah, that they didn't tell us. But it was part of they had a whole block of like Nickelodeon animation. So they're it was sharing time with like SpongeBob 3 or something like that. But it was good. It was good. I don't know. I didn't know about the voice casting. And I do hope the original creators are involved. I believe they are. I think they are. Yeah. Yeah. But at least if not, at the very least, it is good that they have somebody who at least like got their home start from the Avatar series. Like they know the importance of how to make it. So there was that was that. That was all they had at Avatar. I don't know why.
I have Mission Impossible.
Right.
And how was that?
Yeah, that was dope, man. 20 minutes of that. We saw it was actually like really comedic. It's a car chase, pretty standard car chase. Oh, which by the way, I didn't mention during the Disney thing. We also saw footage from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That actually looked pretty good too. I know that movie's like come right around the corner.
Yeah.
But that actually looked pretty good too with the car chase that they had in that. I just think it's funny, like the car chase in that movie versus the car chase in Mission Impossible. Obviously, the Mission Impossible one's a little faster, a little more high octane, but I think it's kind of funny. They kind of just putting these old guys in cars now, and like to kind of save from doing like super hard stunts. Like, oh yeah, car chase is gonna set us right. It was good though. Haley Atwell was good in it, and it was seeing homegirl who plays Mantis in Guardians.
Palm Clementine.
Oh yeah. She's one of the bad guys in this film. In Mission Impossible 7, so she's kind of like playing this super over the top crazy lady who's like trying to kill him. So it was good. It was really good. Like seeing it, it was great. They at one point they have to like ditch their sports-ish car and like jump into a high-teched out Fiat, and the Fiat like starts doing all these tricks. It's just funny. It's a funny clip that they showed. But yeah, that Mission Impossible is my favorite franchise. So
yeah, I know you like it. You like it a lot more than I do. I like it, but I don't go crazy about it.
Yeah, they definitely knew how to close it. That was like their closer for the whole situation. So they definitely had a lot of people like hyped up at the end of that clip.
I know they have A Quiet Place as well with is it Lupita Nyong'o? Yeah,
Lupita Nyong'o is playing in A Quiet Place Day One. It's like a prequel to the original Quiet Place, prequel to the original first Quiet Place. And this one's actually not directed by John Krasinski, but he did come out and present it. And he's talking about how he's producing and all that. Which is cool. You know, he's good taking that step back. There's another director, I forgot the name off the top of my head, who's doing it, but the footage looked really good. The footage looked good and looked like it was gonna be a lot of that same style that we saw in A Quiet Place Part 2, where it was like the long take in the beginning sequence. This trailer kind of opened with a similar version of that. So it was fascinating seeing that. So that was hype. But also John Krasinski showed footage for another film that he's working on that's coming out in 2024. It's called If, and it's starring Ryan Reynolds and some little kid, I can't remember who. But it's basically more of a family film. That's like if Ryan Reynolds could start seeing like everybody's old imaginary friends, kind of like based on Bing Bong from like Inside Out essentially, but like in real life. And honestly, that one looked really good too. Like that footage, that was not coming until 2024, but that one looked really, really good too. Like I could see that being a hit with both families and critics. So
finally, the biggest one, besides all the ones we just named, Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's film.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this one.
Man, it was okay. For one, Scorsese's my guy, man. So you know, Scorsese coming out. He was another legend who like came out for this one. Honestly, a lot of directors and actors, talent who came out really didn't expect them to come out and be there for these movies, but they did, and it was amazing because of seeing how much they advocate for theatrical distribution and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially Scorsese, you know, even though I love The Irishman, I love it coming on Netflix. He was like, I'm excited to get a movie back in theaters again. You know, excited to be back on the big screen. And you know what they pointed out, which I never really noticed, a lot of the movies that Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio do make a lot of money. Like Wolf of Wall Street made like almost $300 million. I think all their collaborations together add up to like 1.3 billion or something. So it's like, that's actually a good collab. And then him doing it with Robert De Niro, it looks like Robert De Niro and Leo are like sharing a good amount of scenes together, at least what we saw in the trailer. So that was nice. It also kind of looks like the trailer definitely positioned Leo as like the main lead of the film. To my understanding, like the actual film might not be the case. Like it might actually be like Jesse Plemons' character, who's going to be like the main character, which is cool too because he's a phenomenal actor as well. But you kind of definitely got to market the Leo aspect, especially Leo and Robert De Niro. The real story behind the film is like tragic and really, really sad. It's basically the American story of American genocide, right? Like Native Americans get land, property, ownership of something, and the whites, you know, start murdering them, massacring them, and that's what the Killers of the Flower Moon is about. So then this film definitely poses it shows a little bit of like that mystery, like those murders, and you know, kind of poses the question, who's doing it? What's the point of all of it? So it looks really dope. It just looks deep. It looks fascinating. It looks sad. I definitely could see it being an awards contender. Yeah, that one's just dope, man. I can't speak highly enough on Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Obviously, everything you said, this is based on the story, based on what the topic is, based on the serious nature of it. I love all that kind of stuff, so I'm excited for what Martin Scorsese is going to do. Last on my list, RB3. You know what it is, man. I read the books and it's coming back. Don't call it a comeback. I'm back up on my BS. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Yeah. Hunger Games. We here. We out here. You know how much I love these books, RB3. You know how much I love the series. I know you do too. Yeah. We did a meeting of episode about this. What did you think of the trailer? And I don't know if you saw anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. So by the time Lionsgate came around, we actually weren't like there for it. I did see the trailer like come out online afterwards for it. So seeing the trailer online, I mean, it was just like, you know, it was back to it. You know what I mean? It kind of I definitely wonder, is this going to be more of Hunger Games 1/2, or is it going to be Hunger Games, you know, Mockingjay? Like which side of because I personally feel like the series like was really, really great when it was Hunger Games and Catching Fire, and then the Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 were not so hard. Even though I love Mockingjay Part 1 because it's the metatextual, like there's a bunch of filmmakers like trying to shoot a documentary there. Like I like that aspect of it. But I just hope they just stick the landing and making it back to what we loved about the first Hunger Games. So
Yeah, I mean, I liked all the films. Obviously, I do concur that Catching Fire is the best, and the first one is really good as well. So, but I am excited regardless. I'm excited that they're doing this movie. I definitely am super duper skeptical. I've been super skeptical ever since they announced Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes about the idea of Snow being one of the leads and one of the major characters, and if not one of the POVs as well inside of this, because of how evil he is in this book series. And he's considered to be the big bad. He's literally like the Emperor Palpatine of Hunger Games. So it is a little weird to hear his backstory. But besides that, I'm super excited about it. I definitely feel like it could be interesting. And I do feel like this is an opportunity for that one homegirl, Rachel Zegler, to do something else besides West Side Story and besides, a film that no one saw.
right.
The least seen Steven Spielberg film with West Side Story.
I loved it though. It's definitely one of the best Spielberg has done. But let me just real quick. Let me just shout out a couple of the other things that I totally forgot about from CinemaCon that were amazing standouts as well. From Disney, The Haunted Mansion. That one was super, super dope. Seeing an extended trailer for that. Lakeith Stanfield just looks baller, and then he has like these like dreadlocks, and he's looking like he's gonna be haunting away. They said the cameos in this film are gonna be amazing as well, so that was dope. And then that was Disney, and Justin Simien is directing this too, who directed Dear White People and Bad Hair on Hulu. So great filmography, and this is definitely gonna live up and be funny. My second standout comes from Universal. I totally forgot to mention. How could I forget this? We had the best moment of all CinemaCon history, because they did a huge presentation for Fast X. Right. First of all, it began with literally Tyrese, Michelle Williams, the Asian
Michelle
dude.
Williams came out.
Not Michelle Williams. I'm sorry, Michelle Rodriguez. I wouldn't imagine Michelle Williams, right?
I would have been like, yo, hey.
But yeah, it basically had Tyrese, Michelle Rodriguez, the Asian dude, and Georgina Brewster from the first couple movies basically come out and recap all of the first 9 films, right? And then they all leave stage. It cuts to black. Spotlight comes on. Vin Diesel center stage goes on a 10-minute unhinged rant about
how did I know this was coming? Yeah. How did I know this was happening? I wasn't there. Yet I knew you were going to say that.
I'm telling you, bro, you just wouldn't imagine. Like, he's like, I'm looking at and all the people, all the theater owners, you're my foot soldiers. Like, I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? And then he's just going on, and you can literally tell there's a giant teleprompter in front of him. He's like, come on, guys, you think I'm going to read the teleprompter? And then he's like, and he literally starts making fun of the teleprompter. He's like, the teleprompter says, and you think that the Fast and Furious franchise has been around for 20 years? And like, he just starts clowning, bro. It's just straight clownery. Like, but he's just going, it's like the longest awkward pauses, the longest like fake deep, like, hey guys, I'm Vin Diesel, and we saved movies. Like, literally, that was like the whole 10 minutes, dog. So it was crazy. That was the moment that I would never forget in CinemaCon history. So that was number 2. And lastly, number 3, I mentioned how Universal brought out a bunch of guys doing the production setup for the Fall Guys. Paramount actually started with another, like, a live production of their own, but this time it was a bunch of skaters and dancers presenting for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new animated film, which I guess actually Seth Rogen and Evan Goldbergs are like writers on. So it's kind of almost like a Seth Rogen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I'm only saying that because Seth Rogen literally came out and like presented about it. But also the animation in that, everybody, all these studios need to cut Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse a check right now, because the amount of movies that I've seen rip off that exact style from Into the Spider-Verse is like everywhere. Now Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We talked about Intergalactic last year. Like, mad movies are just literally just jacking that style, and it's good. I love to see it, but it's also like, dang, bro, y'all could be a little more subtle than that. But yeah, those are my last 3 standouts for sure of the CinemaCon.
Yeah, I feel like they do it because of that, because they say, hey, people equate this animation style with quality because of Spider-Verse. So let's kind of copy that to make it seem like we have that same quality as Spider-Man has, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse does. So yeah, that's super funny, man, because I was thinking about Vin Diesel. I remember years ago, it was either the Billboard Latino award show or it was either Premio Lo Nuestro. So one of the like musical Latino award shows, Vin Diesel just ranted for like 15 minutes on live TV on an award show. And my family and I was a kid, and this was years ago. This was like during like, I don't know, I want to say Fast 4 or Fast 3. This was early on. And I remember watching it with my family and being like, yo, this guy's crazy. Yeah. And ever since then, he always does it. Like he always, like I saw the Guardians of the Galaxy. We're talking about it. Let's talk about it. The Guardians of the Galaxy premiere. Yeah. I saw the premiere they have on YouTube. I was watching it, and Vin Diesel just takes the mic from the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, let me tell you," and I'm just like, "Oh my god."
That's my guy.
This is crazy,
man.
Bro.
That's Vinny D.
Talk to me about the Guardians premiere, man. You got to go to that too, man. You were just like, you were just on one last week, bro.
Well, we was moving, man, moving and grooving, man. Again, shout out to Dorian.
You got to get me to one of those, bro.
Definitely. I mean, shout out Dorian. He's gonna, Dorian's gonna hook us all up, one day.
He'll hook me up for that.
He'll hook us up, yeah. But we'll be there too, though. Hey, listen, First Cut will be there. If everybody who's watching right now, like the stream, hit that like button, subscribe. Listen, there may not be tomorrow, but it'll be eventually if we all hit the like button, support, go check out everything that we're doing. By the way, I didn't even mention this. I should have mentioned this on top. I'm such an idiot. We're doing a giveaway on Real Talk, on the Real Ones podcast that I'm hosting with my boy John Marin. We're giving away Steelbook Blu-rays. The first week we're giving up, I ain't got them on me, but the first week we're giving up Uncle Drew. That's right, the Kyrie Irving classic. Based on the infamous Pepsi commercials. We got a steelbook for that we're giving away to anybody and everybody who follows us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Get on it. And the clip about the giveaway will be on social media soon. But if you want to get in on the giveaway, follow us on Spotify and screenshot that and tweet it at us. That's how you get involved in the giveaway.
Are these the ones you got from Schmoes back in the day? No.
These are fresh. These are fresh batch. No. These are fresh batch, thankfully. But yeah, Guardians was crazy, man. I would say like it was at the Dolby Theater, which is in Hollywood, California. Me and Dorian, we didn't really go to the red carpet. I mean, for some reason, like, I don't know. I put in the navigation, just put this because I drove. So I put it in the navigation. Oh, like Dolby Theater. So it took us directly to the Dolby Theater. And right when we got off the elevator, we were like already inside basically. So I was like, all right. But then like while we're inside the theater, and it was pretty much me, Dorian, and like 5 other people. And literally while we're in there, they have a live stream of like everything happening on like the red carpet or the purple carpet on like Hollywood Boulevard. And we're like, yo, what the did we just like walk right past it? Like what happened? So yeah, we camped in and saw the film there. And my review of it, this is one of the most emotional Marvel films I've seen in a long time, for sure. And, that's especially coming off of, like, films like Wakanda Forever and Shang-Chi, who that definitely hammer in heavy emotions really well. And this one does it just as well, too. This really does feel like a conclusion for all the characters. And you kind of feel that vibe during the premiere a little bit as well, like when James Gunn was kind of going up, introducing the cast. You kind of feel, even with the cast intros, you kind of feel like this was like the one last hurrah, like for everybody. So people were giving it like an extra standing ovation a little bit, and it was nice, man. It was just it was a good story, beautiful story, and a beautiful way to just conclude every single character in this universe, in this trilogy, without being sappy or without being generic. They found ways to end everybody's story in a really meaningful way that makes sense if you watch it from the first Guardians movie. So I really dug it, man. This is one of my favorite Marvel movies in a while. I'll say personally, if I had to rank between Phase 4 and Phase 5, if I'm combining the phases, I would say Wakanda Forever is still my number one. And I'll still personally put Shang-Chi pretty high because I think it's just a great origin story and just a great family story. But this is definitely a high number 3 for me. Like, this is definitely right there underneath Shang-Chi. I'll put it above No Way Home. I'll put it above a lot of movies that came out recently in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it's detailed, it's real, and it's textured. And it's so funny because I was talking to people after the film about the animal designs, and I was like, yeah, those animals were so cute, weren't they? Like, weren't they so adorable? And they're like, Rob, are you crazy? Those are the sickest, nastiest looking animals I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, yo, which is true. Like, I guess if you look at it, they are kind of like, because, you know, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the plot, it's basically about, the character's name is the High Evolutionary. I know I was struggling with that earlier.
I was gonna say careful.
I'm not gonna spoil. No spoilers. Definitely no spoilers.
I think I've seen like maybe the first trailer. I haven't seen anything else.
Well, I mean, basically what the first trailer shows is the High Evolutionary. He's the black dude. He is trying to. He basically like creates all these genetically altered animals, essentially. I'm not gonna say any more beyond that, and I'm not gonna say any more if you don't know what else like. How that connects to our Guardians team. But if you know, you know. And if you know, I feel like the trailer is kind of marketing, especially like Rocket, like what, this is going to be a sad story for Rocket. I will say this is a Rocket Raccoon movie through and through. Like this is more of his film than anybody else's. So it's a Rocket movie, and it's also a really good Drax movie as well. Actually, let me say this. It's a good everybody movie. Because everybody has a shining standout moment that really works. The only thing is that doesn't really you know, I guess to me the only character arc that doesn't really feel the most like most fulfilled or most fulfilling is Nebula, I suppose. But then I think about it kind of harder, and I think more of her story arc kind of already ended with Endgame, with Thanos, like kind of situation, you know, like her thing of like her father torturing her, being the bad guy. Now she, you know, at least in this film, she's just Nebula. She's just her. So I kind of get that, and I like that. But I guess if I was to just make one, you know, criticism, that would be the one character who didn't really have as much to do in the film. But otherwise, it was good though. Otherwise, it was a really, really solid film, man. And also Mantis, so funny in this movie.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Mantis, bro. I love Mantis. She's my girl. I think she's absolutely hysterical. But I'm so excited about this movie, man. I obviously still have Guardians #1 as my #1 MCU film, the first movie, and then we both really love Guardians 2 because I know that was kind of a hot take at the time. That a lot of people didn't like that one. Yeah. But you and I really enjoyed it. So I already know I'm going to cry, man. Guardians is like, it has a very, very, very special place in my heart for a lot of reasons. It's the last movie I saw before I moved to LA. And that kind of hits a little different too. Because that was an experience for me trying to leave my background behind. It was, you know, it kind of fits the themes of the movies and stuff. So I feel like I'm just going to get hit so hard with like a wave of feels. It's going to be crazy. But last thing I have here on my docket, man, it says right here on my list, we have to talk about Jonathan Majors.
Hey, yo.
It looks like our time is up.
We get on that. We can talk about them Lakers, though. That's what I can talk about all day, baby.
Hey, man, you guys haven't even played game 1 yet, so we don't even know.
Well, listen, man, we about to be there.
You're going to be in San Francisco in game 1. You know that, right?
Hey, listen, dog, this Bay Area is like that. The people that 40 water is back. So we up, baby, we up. Real quick, there's some people in the chat. I'm going to just say what's up to some people in the chat. Wish Williams, Ace and RB3. Miss you guys with the heart. Thank you, Wish Williams. Appreciate that. Philosopher's King talking about the immigrants row. I'm just going to be very curious about when we watch it together what you're going to think, because I just think I definitely think it's going to be I just think it's going to have reactions, especially from people who know, you know. For me, you know, especially during the pandemic, like I love Soul, you know, but then, you know, after being outside and talking to people, like not a lot of people love Soul in terms of how representation. So I'm like wondering, is this going to be like a similar thing where, you know, people are going to think it's one way and then it not be a certain way after some retrospective? You know my thoughts on Zootopia. So if you're gonna have an analogy, if you're gonna have a metaphor, that mug better be spot on, point by point, executed perfectly, or else I'm not gonna love it. And the 20 minutes I showed, it was almost on point, but it's just some stuff that I don't really know what they going with here. So, but yeah, that's Elementals.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm definitely curious about it, and I definitely want to see it. The only thing I have is I saw Visions season 2. It's coming out.
Hey,
it's coming out Wednesday. I reviewed it. The review's coming out soon, so make sure you guys check that out as well. And I'll probably do a little mini review here on the channel as well, so you make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. But Visions Volume 2 is just straight fire. It's incredible. Every single short just brings something different and unique inside the perspective of what Star Wars is. And I just find it to be absolutely fascinating and amazing. And just animation in general, you know how much that hits me. So I feel like this is just a special thing that I'm super excited to talk about. That's probably the only other thing I have here that I'm excited about. Obviously, I just feel like a lot of people should be watching it. And I hope people do watch it, because I think giving this a chance is going to be something special, that people can get something out of it that maybe they weren't expecting. So be on the lookout for Visions Volume 2. But anything else you got, RB3?
Real quick, I'm realizing now that I didn't really like shout out some of the things. Sorry. So the guy, okay. In Guardians 2, I'm sorry. In Guardians 3, one of the other things I was just like thinking, because I'm gonna also edit this into like the actual review. So like, let me just say a couple more things about like the movie. The guy who plays the High Evolutionary, his name is Chuck Ujui. I'm super apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but he was also in Peacemaker as well. He was the one of the antagonists in Peacemaker, and he was an amazing villain. He was an amazing villain. The only thing that I didn't really love about him is that there's certain scenes that he was cooking it just a little too hard. There's mass scenes he was acting really, really great, but there was just some scenes where he was just going like a little too hard. So that was my only like negative complaint on that. But yeah, just seeing like how his character ultimately intertwines and ultimately ends up bossing around. I didn't even mention Will Poulter's character of Adam Warlock. His character is like super strong, super massive, this like Nova Star kind of character. And yet he's still being kind of bossed around by the High Evolutionary and all that, who's kind of dealing with, High Evolutionary's kind of dealing with like this God complex, like hence his name. So it's a lot of fascinating stuff. And then performance-wise, he was my favorite. I would also say Bradley Cooper's voice performance as Rocket Raccoon. It's also like really high up there. And also, shout out Chris Pratt, man. I know it's not cool to love this guy right now, but he actually was a pretty good character because he's dealing with the loss of Gamora and, dealing with like the new, there's a new Gamora in the group that doesn't have any of the memories of the old Gamora. So he's kind of dealing with that, like this lost love, kind of trying to find himself and trying to find his love. So it was actually really, really good, man. It was really, really good seeing that all the way through. So shout out to all the performances in this movie. Even Vin Diesel as Groot. So that's all I got on Guardians 3.
Yeah, obviously I'm still excited about it. I can't wait to see that film. But all right, RB3, I think that's all I got on my list. I'm excited that everyone was able to tune in, everyone who was able to tune in, people coming in last second in the chat. That one guy, Mel, shout out to you, bro.
Hey.
You came in at the last second, but you can rewatch this on Rewatch right now. Yeah. So either way, guys, for First Cut Live, we're going to be peacing out, so deuces. Peace.
Oh. That's not right. My bad, y'all.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.